Ah, the labyrinthine dance of human emotion. How utterly fascinating it is, and how utterly complex when it involves the avoidant type. One might say it is akin to deciphering the enigma of a silent symphony. Yes, it is a symphony, but one where the music is played within the heart and mind rather than through instruments. Today, dear viewer, we embark on an intricate exploration titled How to Spot the Subtle Signs An Avoidant Is Falling for You. A thrilling escapade, wouldn't you agree? The avoidant, a master of the withdrawn facade, often leaves one wondering if they are indeed treading on quicksand or solid ground. Yet, beneath that seemingly impenetrable exterior, there lies a world of uncharted emotion. To the untrained eye, these emotions may appear as mere whispers in the wind, but to the discerning soul, they are as vivid as a Shakespearean sonnet. You see, the avoidant does not throw their heart into the open sea of affection. Rather, they release it like a secret message in a bottle, cast upon the waves with the hope that it reaches a deserving shore. Picture, if you will, a gentleman named Charles, a man of few words but many thoughts. Charles has always been the epitome of the avoidant type. When others gathered to share tales of love and loss, he preferred the company of his books, those silent confidants who never required more than his presence. Yet, one day, he found his gaze lingering upon a lady named Evelyn, a woman with a laugh like the tinkling of distant bells, and so began the delicate unraveling of Charles's heart. Now, how does one discern the subtle signs that Charles, our quintessential avoidant, is indeed falling for Evelyn? First, let us consider the power of presence. An avoidant may not serenade you with grand gestures or declarations, but observe how they linger in your company. Charles, for instance, began to frequent the same park where Evelyn jogged each morning. He would find himself sitting on a bench, ostensibly absorbed in a novel, but in truth, his heart was pirouetting with every glimpse of her. Ah, and then there is the matter of the eyes. The eyes, it is said, are windows to the soul, and an avoidant's gaze, when smitten, is a tale of silent longing. You might catch that fleeting moment when their eyes soften, transforming from icy fortresses to warm pools of admiration. Charles, during a particularly mundane tea party, found his gaze meeting Evelyn's across the room, and in that moment, the world around them faded into oblivion. Conversations with an avoidant are another tapestry rich with subtlety. While they may not be the most loquacious of individuals, their words, when spoken, are laden with meaning. An avoidant in love will ask questions, not of the weather or the trivialities of life, but of your dreams, your fears, the very essence of your being. Charles, in a rare moment of vulnerability, asked Evelyn what she believed was the most beautiful place in the world. Not because he needed an answer, but because he sought to understand the landscape of her heart. But it is not only in words that the avoidant reveals their affections. There exists a language of gestures, as delicate as the brushstrokes of an impressionist painting. An absent-minded touch, a gentle adjustment of a scarf, or the offering of a coat on a chilly evening. These acts, seemingly inconsequential, are in fact the avoidant's sonnet of devotion. Charles, ever the gentleman, once noticed Evelyn shivering in the autumn breeze and without a word, draped his own coat over her shoulders. In that simple act, 1,000 unsaid words were spoken. And let us not forget the art of listening, an underrated skill that the avoidant wields with quiet prowess. In the cacophony of voices that often surround us, the avoidant listens not just with their ears, but with their entire being. They remember the smallest details, the stories you once whispered in the stillness of night. Charles, during a conversation months after Evelyn had mentioned her favorite childhood book, surprised her with a first edition copy. The delight in her eyes was the only reward he sought. Yet, Every story of love has its shadows, and with the avoidant, these shadows are often cast by their own insecurities. An avoidant's heart, once opened, is as vulnerable as a fledgling bird. They may retreat, seemingly without reason, leaving you to ponder if you had merely imagined their affection. Charles, after a particularly enchanting evening with Evelyn, withdrew into his shell, plagued by the fear that his heart was simply not enough. It is in these moments that patience becomes a virtue of unparalleled worth. For you see, the journey of loving an avoidant is not one of grand triumphs, but of quiet victories. It is a tapestry woven with threads of patience, understanding, and the courage to see beyond the mask of indifference. The subtle signs are there, like constellations in the night sky, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to look beyond the ordinary. As we draw this discourse to a close, let us remember that in the realm of love, the heart speaks a language all its own. With the avoidant, it is a language of subtlety and nuance, a dance of shadows and light. It is an invitation to see the world not just as it is, but as it could be. And perhaps, just perhaps, in those quiet moments of revelation, we find that the greatest love stories are not those shouted from the rooftops, but those whispered in the silence of the soul. And so, dear viewer, as you navigate the delicate intricacies of the avoidant's heart, may you find the courage to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. For in doing so, you may just discover the extraordinary tale hidden within the quiet symphony of their love.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.